Well, here goes another installment in my Nelson. I keep thinking of more and more things. I was talking to my sister now. We both had mumps and whooping cough in Nelson, and I remember Donna having a mustard plaster on her chest that was, I guess they put mustard in it to heat up. And another thing I forgot to tell you is we used to, my mom used to use carnation milk for cooking and everything, and we got some one time and I got sick. I had real bad stomach pains or something, and they put me in. Nelson had a hospital in those days, and they put me in the hospital for, I guess I stayed in there for that rest of that day and overnight until the next day or something. And my mom wrote a letter to the Carnation Milk telling them that their milk had been bad, and they sent us a case of milk for a reward. Back in those days, the milk bottles came with the little, they had a little cardboard tops on them, and the milkman would come to our house every morning and leave the milk every day or two, and it had real thick cream on the top. It was really neat. And milk's nothing like it nowadays. And across on Kootenai Lake, when you went across the bridge to the other side, I remember there were some really beautiful homes down there, and I remember my mom and dad showing me this house that had been built by an undertaker, that it's still there too. It's all made from embalming bottles that, are laying sideways on top of each other to make all the walls and everything. Kind of a creepy place to be good for a horror movie. And I remember there used to be the old Chinaman that come up and picked, or Chinese fellow, that picked that herb up behind our house in Nelson that I was telling you about in the early thing. But there was a Chinese restaurant downtown, but my mom never liked Chinese people too much. But she liked the old guy because she used to let him go in the back. But they said that all the cats had disappeared downtown, so my mom always thought the Chinese people had probably used them for food or something. And who knows, maybe they did. Another thing I remember is I guess I was in the Cubs then or something, because I remember when the Queen's coronation happened in 1953, they had a big thing down at the behind the Civic Theater. There used to be I think it was like a grounds with a track around it for athletes and stuff, like a racetrack. For sporting events and stuff. They had a big celebration down there with all these dignitaries and everything. I can't remember who was there. People, but I think the Scouts and the Cubs and churches, and they had a big ceremony down there when the Queen Elizabeth was crowned. That would have been 1953. And another thing I remember, the Norgroves next door that gave me the old stamp album, The Old Lady. One of the Stepp family, Elmer Stepp, married the girl, the daughter, the Norgrove's daughter, Audrey. And he ended up in Vancouver and White Rock here with an insurance agency for many years. And then I guess Elmer Stepp, they must have been Tom Stepp's kids, Elmer and Dick Stepp. Dick Stepp was a tall guy, like 6'7". I heard he got in trouble later on in his life or charged with molesting his daughters or something. Who knows? But I didn't know anything about that. So anyway, that's some more information about Nelson, because the Norgroves were kind of neat old people, and we had blackberry bushes, I think, there, and gooseberry bushes in our yard. And if you walked way up the back, the Great Northern Tracks were up there for the railroad, and we used to walk up there and look around. That might be where I found that thing with all the crystals on it. Anyway, that's all I can remember now. Oh yeah, another one is the Zubecks lived across from Uncle Bert and Auntie Dot, Cadden, and Uncle Bert worked for the railroad, and I think Ron Cadden worked for the railroad too. Now I don't know how Ron Cadden was related. Ron and Joyce was his wife, and they had Carol and Louise. Louise was the oldest, and Carol, I think, one other child, but Louise was so cute. Ooh. She was a little blonde. My Uncle Bert used to call her Louise to squeeze, and I can remember playing doctor with her up in the bushes behind the house. Remember what we didn't know what we were doing back in those days. It was just, I could remember how nice it smelled though, with the grass mixed in. Oh, well, what a pervert, eh? Anyway, I was only about 5 or 6 or something, who knows. But she was so cute. She still lives in Nelson. Probably get in trouble for telling all this kind of stuff. But anyway, that's enough for now. Thanks.